execution. Everybody's going to have to raise their level of play and their level of focus, and we're still going to try to do what we do and play and execute at a high level. I think our quarterback's going to have to play better to answer for Andre not playing. I think our offensive line has got to play better. Since Andre's not there, I think our Dwayne and Chad have got to play better. So hopefully what you'll see happen is you'll see a group of guys who take that as an opportunity, as a challenge to raise their level of play, and they'll answer that as a group, and it won't be one individual having to do that.
There's a lot of variables in quarterback play, but where do you think Kyle's improved, or has he regressed from maybe this point last year?
Well, I think the thing that's obvious to me is probably obvious to you is the comfort level that he has with the skill players around him. It's not the same as it was the year before. I think what we saw Saturday was a guy that was trying to play freelance a little bit and play outside the parameters of the offense. He tried to shoulder the burden when things weren't going well and became frustrated when we didn't get points out of those two long drives. And that proved to be detrimental, and we coach those guys all the time that they can't do that, and they got to play within the offense. And much like any quarterback, you just put those situations when you press and you try to do more than is there, you make critical errors and you put your team in a less beneficial situation to win the game, and that was the case Saturday. I don't think we handled the obviously we didn't have the ball much, and when we did get it in the first half and moved it down, we missed the field goal in one possession in the second quarter, and then we come back out in the second half and do the same thing. So being down 6, I think that's where Kyle probably mentally made some mistakes in how he was approaching the game, and he made some bad decisions, as he's openly said and understands. He's a smart kid, and he knows that those were mistakes. So the critical thing for us is that we coach him to handle that better next time, and we communicate him with throughout the game, make sure he's in the right mindset. And one thing I know about that kid is he handles adversity well. He's resilient. He's a mentally tough, competitive kid, and he's going to go back to work this week and try to show up and play better this week.
So you tell him basically just be more patient, essentially, in a situation like the interception where he had the rollout. Looked like he was just really trying to make something happen that wasn't there.
You got 3rd and 16 on the 19, and those are situations that percentage-wise, that's a hard down. The chances of you converting this down the distance in this field position is really against the odds. So he's got to play the game that way and be conservative and take what they give him. There were 3 or 4 other plays in the game where he's pressing and playing outside of the parameters of his decision-making process, and those are when the bad things happen. If you play and do what you're coached to do, and usually that ball gets spread around, and you can play at a high level and execute at a high level. Very much like the Georgia Tech game. He played, the ball went where it was supposed to go. The players around him played well and caught the ball. You had 8 guys, I think, catch the ball that day, and that's the kind of offense that it's got to be. We have got to, we're not producing as many chunk plays as we have in the past, and every possession has got to be methodical, and it's got to be, we've got to execute at a real high level. And, I think part of the problem Saturday was the frustration came about when we weren't getting points out of those possessions. So, I think he's a smart enough kid to see that, and he'll handle it the right way. He's a first-class individual, and there's no doubt in my mind that he'll come back and compete and play better this week.
Did you assess the Lions' performance, Boston?
I think, first thing I think that Boston College is pretty good on defense. I think they're sound at what they do. I do think that our front didn't play its best game Saturday. I think in particular inside we had some issues. They had some good players, and schematically they gave us some problems. But overall, you had guys that are veteran players that played a lot of snaps here at Clemson not play to their ability, and when you do that, you're not gonna be successful. I think we were 3.7 yards a rush. We had only 2 negative rushes. One was a draw on 2nd and 10 from 9-6, and one was a coaching error. You know, I think the biggest thing is that, you know, we got to improve our execution level, and everybody's got to raise their level of play and realize that, hey, we're going to have to be a 10-play, 12-play type of team. And when we get scoring opportunities, we got to take advantage of it.
So there were some issues inside. It seemed like Parker was rolling out of pocket quite a bit. Was he leaving prematurely at times, or was he always, when you look at tape, was he being flushed out?
I think there was some quarterback pressures. I also think they, you know, schematically, you know, we try not to talk too much about that, but there were some things that caused him, you know, them to cover us, and he had to move. So we did get sacked, but you know, you guys know that Kyle does a great job handling pressure when there is pressure, and using his feet and his pocket presence to get us out of trouble a lot of times too. So I think it was twofold.
It looked like there were several times where he really had a ton of time to throw and just couldn't find anybody
Right.
open.
That's
Were there
exactly
some
right.
chances he could have taken, or were they really just covering it that well?
I think they covered us some. You know, I think that they definitely did that, but I also think, you know, when there's not anybody open, Kyle has got to start using those feet like he's done in the past. Some of the most effective plays he's had in those situations has been when there's not somebody open, him tucking that ball and running. And, you know, when in the past when we played well, and in certain games he's created some first downs using his feet, and we didn't see that Saturday. So we're going to encourage him when he gets in those situations to run the ball, and I think he sees the video and sees he can do that.
Why do you think he was hesitant to do that? Just trying to make a big play downfield?
I think so. It's part of just the mindset he was in, and the product of not getting points out of those possessions. And, you know, I think, you know, he's just trying to shoulder that burden and make a play for his team. He pressed a little bit too much instead of doing what he knows is most effective.
So how much of playing Boyd is dictated by his practice performance, and how much is dictated looking at 2011, 2012, and yes, looking at the depth chart, he's got to be the guy at quarterback.
Well, I think the one thing that personally I think is extremely important is that we make sure that everybody understands that Kyle Parker is the guy that gives us the best chance to win today. I think it's also important to know that we expected this to happen with Taj. We expected to get to play him more, and haven't had chances to do that. You know, given the situation, I think Taj has proved with his preparation and his approach in practice and his execution level in practice that he's ready to play some. And you know, he's a guy who's worked as hard as anybody, and you know, I think he can help our football team. I think he can give us a spark, and you know, I think it's also important to know that if Kyle Parker plays and makes decisions like he did Saturday, that you know, we've got to do what's in the best interest of the team and hold him accountable. And he knows that. He's talked with us about that. He understands that was unlike him. You know, he hasn't made those type of decisions in his career here, and he can't continue to do that. So that's not winning football. That's not what we coach around here. So this kid's a convicted kid, and he's a competitor. It doesn't hurt anybody more than him when he doesn't play well, and it impacts our team not winning. So we all know he's going to handle it well, and I'm excited that Taj has developed the way he has, and that he's ready to play some and impact his team.
Guys, we gotta let him go. He's got a meeting in 2 minutes.
Thank you, man.